everyone, I'm so excited to be here with Jess Barrera of Sallie Tomato, and we have a really fun duffel bag that we're going to share with you today.
Yeah, I'm really excited to sew with you today, Misty. This is going to be so much fun. This is the largest pattern that we've designed. I think it's a great size. So this is the Hamilton Duffle Bag.
And I love that. A little nod to our little quilt town.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's got lots of pockets. There's a zipper pocket, a nice luggage handle strap on the back, and then some mesh pockets on the inside for extra organization, but it's nice and deep, perfect for a weekend trip to Hamilton.
Absolutely. So let's show you how to make it. All right, Jess, I'm so excited to learn how to make this Hamilton duffel. So how are we gonna get started?
Yeah, I'm gonna break it down step by step, share lots of tips for interfacing and stabilizing the bag. We're going to prepare the base of the bag so it's nice and sturdy. I'll show you how to make a variety of pockets and bring it all together with the handles and the zipper at the end.
Perfect, I can't wait. So let's move this out of the way and get started.
So once you have all your pieces cut, we're going to add some interfacing.
Okay, so we have that right here.
Yep, so follow the pattern and we're going to fuse interfacing to the coordinating main fabric and lining pieces. So I've already went ahead and done this. This is just a lightweight woven fusible interfacing. So whatever brand you're using, follow the manufacturer's instructions, and it just adds a little bit of stability that we want.
Just give some extra weight to it. That's perfect. Okay.
So that's already done.
This is ready to go.
We can move on to preparing the base. So we are going to start with shaping the corners. So all the pieces in the pattern have been rotary cut, but there are two little templates that will adjust the base pieces.
And so we have those here, these little templates, right?
Yes. So we're going to start with the template A.
Okay.
And we're going to shape the contrast base piece. So we can start with that. So you'll just position it in one corner and then trace the outer edge.
All right. Use my pin here. And we're just tracing that little corner, right?
Yep, perfect. Yep.
Okay.
And we'll do this for all four corners.
All right. One after the other.
And this is just the easy way to shape the pieces without having a large pattern piece.
Yeah, this is perfect. Super easy to follow. So then I trace them, and do you cut them with a rotary cutter or scissors? What do you like to use here?
So if you want to cut a long line with some scissors.
Okay, that's what I would do.
Yep.
Perfect. Sometimes things are just a little simpler that way.
Yep, nice and accurate.
Okay.
Perfect.
Couple more. And the last one. There we go. All right.
Perfect. Oops, sorry.
Okay.
Okay, looks great. So then we'll repeat for the foam and the lining pieces as well with that same template.
Okay, so then we have those done.
Okay, perfect. And then right away we're going to shape the heavy stabilizer as well. So that one we have a little bit smaller of a template.
Okay, our template B, right?
Yep.
Okay. So same idea, we're just putting that in the corner.
Yep, looks good.
And tracing just a little bit smaller arc.
Okay, these look great.
Awesome.
So we're gonna set the foam and the lining aside.
Okay.
And we're gonna start with the contrast and the heavy stabilizer.
Okay.
So on the wrong side, we're going to center the heavy stabilizer, and it is cut smaller so that way it's away from the seam allowance.
Yeah.
So we're gonna add some basting spray to one of the sides of the stabilizer.
Okay.
Because you don't want to use pins on cork or the heavy stabilizer.
Right, it'll leave marks. So how much do you need here?
Just a light spray is perfect.
There we go.
Okay. So I'm just going to eyeball it. Does it look okay on your side?
It looks good to me, yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
We'll just press that down.
So then I'm going to top stitch around all the edges with a 1/4 inch seam allowance.
All right.
And
I was just going to say, I'm just always amazed that you can figure all of this out in your brain. It's just such a talent. It's just so great.
A fun challenge for sure.
Yeah, I love it.
Thanks. So I am going to lengthen the stitch length a little bit because this top stitching will be seen on the other side, and it just looks a little nicer with a longer.
Looks pretty with a longer stitch. I agree.
So I'm just going to lengthen it to 3 millimeters.
Great.
And it's always a good idea to back stitch for bag making. And when you get to the corners, you can just stop and then pivot around the edges.
So you do want to follow that curve.
Yep.
Awesome. Beautiful.
All right, so here's what it looks like from the other side.
Yeah.
Nice and secure. And then I'd like to show how to add some optional purse feet just for extra durability.
Let's do it.
So now we're ready to install the purse feet. I've already went ahead and marked the vertical and horizontal placement lines according to the pattern.
Okay.
And where the lines intersect is where the purse feet will be installed. So we're going to take the rotary punch and punch a small hole. You won't want it any wider than an 1/8 inch.
Okay, so we just have it on the littlest setting then?
Yep, that's perfect.
All right, and so do you do it this way?
Yep, and you kind of have to pull the fabric in.
To make it be where you want it?
Yep.
And then just squeeze. There we go. That satisfying little click, right?
Yes.
There.
And this tool is nice to use with rivets or Chicago screws, all kinds of hardware.
Adds those fun details to your bags.
Yes.
It really does make a big difference when you add things like this for getting that professional looking finish, which is so great.
Yeah, it's a super easy way. It doesn't take a whole lot of extra time to install, and it just elevates the whole bag.
Absolutely. All right, there's our last one.
Perfect. So the purse feet themselves have the prong on the back side, so you'll
just go from the bottom side, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Poke it through the hole.
Do you just do all of them first and then come back with your washers?
Sure, that works.
Makes sense to me. Okay. There we go, all 6.
So then take a washer that came with the purse feet and just place it over each of the prongs.
All right.
And these are universal washers, so there's that center hole, and then the slits on the side are usually for other types of purse hardware.
Okay.
So we don't have to worry about those.
That's good to know. So we're just looking for that middle slot. Okay.
Yep. And then I do recommend adding like a little bit of permanent glue, like E6000, but we can go ahead and just bend the prongs away from the center for each one.
That's a good tip to add the glue. I've never considered that before. But you don't want these to come out.
No.
My nails are too short.
So are mine.
There we go.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Okay, so that's all there is to it.
It looks like that. Isn't that so fun? Okay, so what's up next?
So now we can set the base pieces aside, and we're going to grab the foam stabilizer.
Okay.
So since the sides of the bag fold down, I wanted to make sure that that shape would maintain itself.
Yeah.
So we're going to trim off some of the corners of the foam. So just follow the instructions for the measuring. So you'll just measure from each of the top corners and then connect the 2 points with a diagonal line.
Okay.
And then we can just go ahead and cut with our
Straight-
scissors
straight on
across
those
or
lines.
rotary cutter, whichever you prefer.
Okay. Well, I don't have my ruler over here right now, so I'm just going to use my scissors. we go. Just like so.
Yes, perfect. And then we're going to grab one of our main fabric pieces.
All right.
And just place it on top of the foam. And then make sure that the edges are aligned, and then we're going to use some sewing clips to hold the layers together.
Right. Here's those. And are you just clipping the sides?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so then to attach these pieces, we'll just baste a 1/4 inch from the outer edges.
All right.
And I'm just going to start at the foam corner.
I was going to ask what you do on that piece that's missing in the corner
Yes.
there.
And I am going to lengthen my stitch length to maybe 6 millimeters
Okay.
just to baste it.
Nice long stitches. This is such beautiful fabric. It's perfect for a travel bag.
Yes. So here's what it should look like after stitching, and
Perfect.
If you are using a directional print, you'll definitely want to make sure that the direction goes so that way those top cut corners are
that's
along
the
the top of the print.
Okay.
Yes.
Great tip.
So this will be the front of the bag, and then we'll repeat for the remaining foam piece and the back side of the bag. So we
Okay.
already have that done, so we can set
These
those
aside.
aside.
All right. There we go.
And we do have one more piece of foam to attach that will attach to the base. So
Okay.
we'll grab the base that we prepared and the foam that you shaped,
Yes.
the corners.
Right here. Whoops. That wants to stick together. It's like Velcro.
Yes, that'll help though to help
Oh,
keep
absolutely.
it together. So then we can
You clip this as
clip
well?
it together. Yep.
Okay.
So we'll just align all the edges, and for bag making, I always have lots of clips on hand since you don't want to pin through the cork fabric.
That makes sense.
And also with these thicker layers, it's nice to
I agree. I
Have the
really,
clips.
really like the clips.
So then we'll just sew around the outer edges to secure the layers together.
Is this like a basting stitch again?
Yep.
Okay.
Just baste it together.
Perfect.
All right.
Perfect. Look at that. We're getting so close.
So next we're going to make the slip pocket for the exterior.
All right.
So we're going to start with the easiest pocket first and create the exterior slip pocket.
Okay.
So it's this long piece here, and we're going to just fold it in half with the wrong sides together
Okay.
and make sure all the edges are aligned, and then press that
Press
top
that
edge flat.
Okay. Make sure we have it straight here. All right. There we go.
Looks good. So then, again, if you're using a directional print, make sure that you're going to top stitch from the side that is facing correctly. So we're going to top stitch a 1/4 inch along that top folded edge.
We don't want our buildings upside down.
No. And again, for the top stitch, I just switched to 3 millimeters.
Yep.
So now, whichever piece is for the back, if we want to grab that.
Okay. It doesn't really matter, right? They're
No.
essentially the same. Okay.
Yes.
All right, there's this, and we have our corners up.
Perfect. So with the right sides facing up, you'll want to center the pocket over the back piece,
Okay.
aligning those bottom raw edges. So you could either measure, or we can fold each
Okay.
piece in half
Perfect.
and just either finger press or
Just make a
mark
mark
it.
there.
Mhm.
Yep. There we go. Right here,
Okay.
just like so.
And then we'll pin this in place.
Okay, do you pin or clip? Flip the bottom and then pin
Yep,
up
we
here?
can, let's clip the bottom and then we'll pin the side edges.
Okay, sounds good.
And you don't have to pin all the way through the foam, just as long as the fabrics are
The top
attached.
layer. Oh, that's a good tip. I'm trying to work so hard to get it under there. Awesome.
Okay, so then I'm just going to sew from the side edges and the bottom edge to tack this in place.
Okay.
Awesome.
There you
Thanks,
go.
Misty.
You bet.
So when you get to the bottom edge, you just lift the presser foot and pivot.
Okay.
And this can just be basted in place, too.
Okay.
And I always like to backstitch at the top corners, even though it's just basting, just for extra reinforcement.
Yeah, just add some more strength there. Right. One more pin.
Yep. So we are moving right along. Next, we are going to make the luggage handle strap.
Okay.
So we're going to grab that piece.
Okay, here is that.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to set this aside
Perfect.
and I'm going to fold this in half lengthwise and
Okay.
then just top stitch along the long edges here. I'm just going to hold it, but you could certainly add
Okay.
pins. And this is just a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I'm going to use 2.5 millimeter stitch length for any piecing that we do for this project.
Great.
Okay, so then you can turn that right side out.
All right. Give me the hard job. I see how it is. No, I'm just teasing. It's not really hard. Luckily, it's a decent size, so it flips pretty easily.
Yep,
All right.
yep, so just work it through. And then we'll press the seam in the center of the back side of the
Okay.
luggage tag.
Gonna kind of float it in the middle.
Yep.
All right. There we go. Does that look right?
Yes, looks
Alright.
good.
And then do you try and make it all go one way? Is that the goal
Yep.
of the seam?
Okay.
I was just kind of feeling that with my fingers first to make sure that it's gonna lay nicely. There we go.
Okay.
How's that?
Perfect. So then I'm just going to quick top stitch along each of the folded edges.
Great.
And this can either be a 1/4 inch or an 1/8 inch.
Whatever your preference.
Mm-hmm. All right, so then we can position this over the slip pocket.
Okay.
And we'll want to make sure the seam side is down, all the print is going in the correct direction, and then just align the raw edges on each side. And it does lift up in the middle, so that way there's room for your luggage handle.
That makes sense. This is like to slide over like a roller bag, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
And we
So we
can
need some
pin this
pins.
in place. I'm gonna actually just hold it in
Okay,
place.
that's perfect, yeah.
Because it is a little difficult to pin through these layers.
Sure.
But you certainly could add some pins, and you'll just want to measure down from that top edge of the slip pocket to the top folded edge of the strap.
Perfect. And are you just gonna baste that again?
Yes.
Okay.
flip this around to do the other side.
Look at that. It's so fun to see this starting to take shape. I love it.
Yes, me too. So now we're gonna work on the front pocket.
Okay. So set this aside for now?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so to make the exterior zipper pocket, we need these 2 little cork fabric pieces for the zipper tabs.
Okay.
And we're gonna start by measuring in from the long edge 1/2 inch, so that'll just mark the center basically.
Okay. So just right along there.
Yep. And this is on the wrong side. Perfect.
There's that one. And same on the other?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just like so.
Yes. Perfect. So then, I love this method because it's really beginner friendly for zippers. So we're just going to align the raw edge of the zipper along the marked line that you just made and top stitch an 1/8 inch from the raw end of the zipper. And these are nylon zippers, so you can cut and sew safely over
That's
these.
great. They look like metal, but they're actually safe.
Mm-hmm. And it's fun to coordinate the zippers with all the hardware too.
Yeah.
And then I'll repeat for the other side.
Okay.
So then you just simply fold the tab over the raw edge, and then we're going to top stitch an 1/8 inch from that raw edge.
Okay.
And then just repeat for the other side.
Perfect. That's super simple.
Okay. So now we're going to grab our main fabric, piece B, and also the lining fabric.
Okay, I have those right here.
And you'll want to position the zipper according to which hand is your dominant hand. So if you're right-handed, you'll want the zipper to open to the right, or if you're left-handed, you'll want to flip it over. So we can just center this, aligning those raw edges, and add a couple sewing clips.
Do one on this side. There we go.
Okay.
One more for good measure, right?
Sounds good.
There we go.
Can't have too many clips.
No.
So then we'll just baste the zipper in place with a 1/4 inch seam allowance.
Perfect.
And this foot on this machine is narrow enough to get past the zipper pull, but you can switch to a zipper foot, or you can lift up the presser foot and just move the zipper out of the way as you need to. So then we'll take the lining piece and place it right side down.
Okay.
And align those top edges, and we can clip the layers together. And you'll want to make sure that the side edges are even as well.
Yeah. Wants to shift a little bit, but the beauty of the clips, right?
There we go.
Right.
And then we'll sew this with 3/8 inch seam allowance, so it'll cover up that basting. again, just be conscious of the zipper inside there. So then you'll want to open that up and then press it so that way the zipper is along the top edge.
Okay. Pull this over here. And it's safe to press on these zippers, right? Like,
yes.
okay.
I wouldn't hold the iron on them,
Yeah,
but if it does touch, it's okay.
It's all right. Okay.
And you can just make sure that like the bottom raw edges are aligned and the sides as you press.
Yeah. It's looking great. There we go.
Looks
How's
good.
that?
Perfect.
All
So
right.
then we'll just top stitch it 1/4 inch from the seam.
Okay.
So now we're going to attach this to our front panel.
Okay, so that's just the one that we didn't already put the other pockets on, right?
Yes.
Again, making sure here, there's our top.
Perfect.
Okay.
So I've already went ahead and marked the placement for the pocket, including the center of this entire piece.
I see that. Perfect.
So then you can just fold the zipper in half as well to find the center. And we're actually going to place this with the main fabrics together.
That makes sense. So then once we stitch it down, it'll all work out.
Yes. So we will want to pin this so it won't shift.
Okay.
So then at the machine, we'll just sew right along the zipper.
Okay. I have to say, Jess, I know you're doing all the hard work, but I'm getting so excited to see this come together. It's just so satisfying.
Yes.
I feel like I'm making it all myself.
Well, it's fun having your help and all your tips as
I
well.
appreciate you coming on and sharing.
Thanks.
Awesome.
All right, so then as you guessed, we'll flip it
Flip
down
that down.
and just make sure that the bottom edges are even, and we can add some clips there.
Okay. Beautiful.
Okay, then we can clip or pin
Pin
the sides as well, but I'm just going to hold it as
Okay.
I sew.
Whatever you're comfortable with, right?
Yes, whatever you're comfortable with. And this will be a 1/4 inch seam along the sides and the bottom
On the
edge.
bottom. Okay.
And you can just kind of flatten that top zipper at the beginning. So we can set this piece aside and then we'll grab our
Alright.
handle pieces.
Okay. Have those right here, I think. Is that right?
Yes, and I love using cork fabric for handles because you don't have the extra step of adding any interfacing and they're really
Right.
soft. So I'm really excited to show you how to make
I am
these.
too. I love working with cork, but I haven't done it a lot. But every time I do, I'm surprised at how beautifully it sews and how simple it is to work with. So this is perfect.
Awesome. I'm glad you like it.
Yeah.
So there are a few pieces involved in these handles. So we're going to have our longer piece here, and then we're going to make the handle longer. So we're going to add on these side pieces.
Okay.
And the same on that side.
Okay.
And then we'll just clip the layers together.
Oh, you have some still. There we go. Perfect.
And this is kind of like making quilt binding. So we're going to sew a diagonal seam from corner to corner.
Okay.
And you'll want to make sure that the diagonal is going from the inside to the outside. So then when we fold it out, it'll look nice
One
and continuous.
continuous piece. Perfect. Okay.
So either you can mark from corner to corner.
I have that if you want to mark.
Sure, let's mark it.
Okay, let's do it. So we're just trying to find that top corner, make sure I'm right on it, and go from point to point.
Perfect.
Just like so. And then same on this side?
Yes.
Okay. I'm right-handed, so those clips are in my way. I have to turn it all the way around to make it work. There we go. Move this one a bit. There we go.
Okay. And then I'm just going to sew right along that diagonal line.
Right on it, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I would have never thought of this, but I imagine you piece this on the diagonal for the same reason we do that in binding, to reduce the bulk?
Yep,
Okay,
exactly right.
Great. Makes sense.
Yeah, I started sewing as a quilter, so
so you know some of those hacks, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's
Perfect.
fun to apply those same techniques.
Absolutely. All right, so then do we just trim off this excess?
Yes, so you'll
Okay.
trim it, so from the seam to the cut edge is about 1/4 of an inch.
Okay. And we'll just eyeball that. There's one. All right, what do we do next? Because I don't think I can press this, right?
Right. Yeah, you can iron cork fabric, but
You can?
yes.
Oh,
You
all
can
right.
iron it from either side, but it doesn't really hold
Okay.
a press very well.
That makes sense.
So we do have one extra step to do, and I like to press the seam open just with my fingers.
Okay.
And then top stitch an 1/8 inch from each side of the seam, just
Okay,
to help
just
flatten.
to hold that flat. That's a great tip. Awesome. I was curious how you were going to do that. That works beautifully. Just lays right down, doesn't it?
Yes.
Looks great.
And those extra stitches will just help reinforce the seam.
Yeah.
And one more side. So here's how it looks after top stitching.
It's beautiful. Yeah, it looks great. It makes it lay nice and flat.
All right, so now we're gonna mark the length, the center length of the strap. So
Okay.
this is a 3-inch wide strap, so just measure in an inch and a half.
Inch and a half. You want me to mark the full distance?
Yes.
Okay. I'm still just going to use my little ruler. It's pretty handy. There's that. Just make my way all the way up.
So this line will be super helpful because next we're going to fold each of the length sides to the center, just along that mark that you just made.
Perfect.
And you can use basting tape, but the cork fabric tends to bounce back. So it doesn't hold as well, you can use clips, but I'm just going to align it as I sew.
Okay.
And sew 5/8 inch from this folded edge, or you could do about an 1/8 inch from
the center,
whichever works.
And are you doing the full length?
Yes,
Okay.
the full length on each side.
Okay, great.
All right, so after top stitching, we're going to measure in from each end of the handle and mark a line across the strap, and you'll want to mark it on the right side of the fabric.
So that's this one that doesn't have the edges, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. I'll take this over here. Okay. There's one side, and then do the same to the other?
Yes.
Okay. Just like so. Okay. Both are marked.
Okay, perfect. And then we're going to align those short ends of the strap and fold this in half. Oops. And that will mark the top center of the strap. So
Okay.
if you want to mark that as well.
Okay, just like a little dot there.
Yep. On each side or each folded
Oops.
edge.
There we go. Trying my best. There we go.
Okay. And then back at the cutting mat, you can measure 5 inches away from each side of the center.
Okay.
And then just mark a line across the strap.
So from that little center mark we made, 5 inches. There's one. And the other. There we go.
Perfect, looks good. Okay. So then we're gonna do a little bit more top stitching. So from the initial line that we marked, we're gonna top stitch all the way to the opposite ends mark.
Okay.
And just an 1/8 inch from the folded edge to keep that nice and flat, and the same for the other side.
Okay, great.
Okay, so then we're going to fold the strap in half with wrong sides together. So we're going to encase that the raw edges in the middle.
Okay.
And we can add some clips here. And we're just going to clip between those marks that you made away from the center. We don't need to clip
Okay.
any further.
Got a lot of layers now, huh?
Yes.
There we go.
Perfect. So then I'm going to top stitch along that 5 inch mark that you made.
Okay.
And then pivot and sew along the previous top stitching all the way to the other 5 inch mark. And that'll create a nice little folded edge for when you grip the top of the handle.
Easier to grab.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So we can trim up some of these loose threads here.
Sure. Yep.
And then we'll repeat the same process to make the other handle.
Okay.
So once you're done making the other strap, which we've already gone ahead and done, then we're ready to attach the handles to the exterior of the bag.
Okay.
So I love using double-sided basting tape for this step.
Okay.
So you can just add a strip along the center of each end of the handle.
Okay.
Just about up into that mark.
The mark that
before.
we made. Okay. So I'll just do about there. That should be good. Run that down the center. And clip. And then on both sides?
Yes.
Okay. So if we look where that angle is that we cut, right? That's probably where it needs to be, pretty close.
Yep. Perfect.
Okay. There we go.
Okay, so then we can take off the paper.
Whoop. There we go. We take
Okay.
your trash?
Sure, thanks.
Yep.
All right, so then we'll flip this over with the right side up.
Okay.
And just make sure that the handle isn't twisted. And I've already went ahead and marked in from each side edge. I've already went ahead and marked a vertical line in from each side edge. So we're gonna align the short raw edges, even with the raw edge of the bag, and then that outer edge of the handle along the marked line.
Okay.
And you can kind of just press down to hold it in place.
There we go.
And it's just sticky enough to just hold it while I sew.
Okay.
Maybe.
This one wants to misbehave, but it's okay.
Okay. We can add a couple clips on the bottom to at least hold that.
Let's do that. Yours is doing great. Mine wants to do its own thing. So maybe I can clip right here to hold that
Sure.
down a bit.
Yep.
There we go. And now it's
Perfect.
Now it's better.
And as long as that edge just stays even with the marked line,
Yeah, then you're good.
we're good. So at the machine, we're going to top stitch an 1/8 inch from that folded edge all the way up to that 12.5 inch mark from
Okay.
earlier.
Yep.
Sew across and then back down the opposite side for each end of the handle.
Perfect.
There you go. Now I'm just going to sew across that marked line from before. And then you can kind of just roll the foam in your
That
bag
bulk,
here.
yeah.
Are we catching? Okay. Sometimes through that thickness you might have to lower the tension a little bit
Okay.
to catch the bobbin thread.
That's a great tip.
And another tip for going over the thickness too is to adjust the presser foot pressure if your machine has the ability to do that. So you'll actually want a little bit more pressure to compress the layers.
That's a great tip too. Sometimes I forget we can do that on some machines, but it makes a big difference.
Oh yeah, I'm constantly adjusting
Yeah.
that.
There we go.
Oh, thank you.
You bet.
Okay, then we'll just sew the other side. Okay, it's looking good.
Looks so great.
And for additional reinforcement, you could certainly sew a box at the top with an X in the middle. And then you can repeat the same process for the other strap and the front side of the bag.
Awesome.
All right, so we've set aside the front and the back for later. We're going to work on preparing the strap connectors.
Okay.
So this is our last piece of fabric here, of our main fabric. And we're going to press each of the long edges to the center. So
Okay.
you can either mark the center or just kind of fold them together and eyeball it.
Okay, I will do that. Does it need to be perfect? Or if it gaps a little bit, is it okay?
Yeah, if it gaps a little bit, it's all right.
I'll
just do the best you can.
I'm always trying to avoid having to do one side at a time, but you know, sometimes it's the right way to get it more precise. There we go. All right.
All right. Perfect. So then I'm going to top stitch from the right side without the folds, about 3/8 inch in from each folded edge.
Okay.
It's always nice to have a break from all the detail.
Absolutely.
And
to just zoom
right
down.
along. So now we need to subcut this piece into 4 smaller pieces. So we need 2 3-inch and 2 13-inch pieces.
Okay, I can do that. Two at 3 and 2 at 13, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Wanted to make sure before
It's nice to have one long strip and then just be able to subcut it all.
Get all the pieces you need. And make sure that is right. There we go. Okay, here are all of our pieces.
Perfect. So then we'll need 4 D-rings.
Okay, have those right here.
And for the smaller strap connectors, you're going to take 1 D-ring and thread it through so the flat side of the hardware is against the wrong side.
Okay.
And then fold the raw ends to meet in the middle. And you can just pin the folds in place.
Okay. Wants to shift on me. Here we go.
Okay, looks good.
All right.
And for these, we can skip ahead in the instructions a little bit while we have these here, so we can just slide a D-ring over the ends as well.
Okay.
And then this time match up the raw ends.
Perfect.
You can just add a clip or a pin to just hold that fold. Hold the layers together.
Got it. There we go.
So then these longer ones can be set aside.
Okay.
And we're going to attach the short strap connectors. So grab one, either the back or the front panel.
Okay. Here's this one.
And I've already marked where the placement is for the strap connector. And then we'll just position it in from the right side edge. So you'll want it in from the right on the back and also the front, because
that would make it opposite, right?
It would be opposite once it's flipped and assembled.
Perfect.
So I'm just going to repin this in place. And then we're going to start sewing along the hardware. So just have your foot about as close to the hardware as you can, and then it'll be about a 1/2 inch or 3/8 inch seam allowance from that folded edge.
Perfect.
And it's super important to back stitch.
Yeah, because this is going to get a lot of, pressure against it.
Yes.
You're going to be throwing this over your shoulder.
So then you'll sew an 1/8 inch from the remaining edges.
Perfect.
then I am going to sew that X in between the box just for extra reinforcement.
Perfect.
So you just sew diagonally to the other corner. And then along the previous top stitching of one edge. And then up to the other corner.
Beautiful.
All right, so then you'll repeat to attach the other connector to the front side of the bag.
All right.
So once that's attached, we're going to work with the longer strap connectors now. So for these, we're going to top stitch an 1/8 inch from all the side edges and about that 1/2 inch from the hardware again.
Okay.
So I'm going to start along the hardware. So one is done, and we can trim the threads as we go.
Absolutely. Okay. Beautiful. They look great.
Okay, so then these will get centered along each of the short edges and just align the raw edges. And we can certainly measure or just eyeball between the purse feet.
Perfect.
I don't have a clip.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay.
There you go.
And we'll just clip those raw edges together.
Okay. Just like so.
And then we'll baste 1/4 inch from the raw edge. Alright, so then we're done with this piece, and we're going to work on the mesh zipper pockets for the interior next.
Okay.
So here we have all the pieces to make the mesh interior zipper pocket. So we're going to start with this bigger one for our zipper placement, and I've already went ahead and marked the lines, so we can just take a rotary cutter and ruler and just cut along the lines, and just be careful that you cut close to the corner, but just not through it, and then we can take the scissors and trim close to the corner.
Perfect. I will do my best. Get as close as I can. Do you do the little sides with the rotary cutter as well? The little
Probably just with the scissors.
Just with the scissors.
Yeah.
Okay. So then let's bring this over here and we'll finish up this last little bit.
But that way you have the nice straight edges.
It's a great, great plan. There's the one side. All right.
Perfect. So we can toss that scrap aside, and then I've already added some double-sided basting tape to each side of the zipper.
Okay.
And again, you can position the pull so it opens towards your dominant hand. And then we're just going to center this accent piece over, so it should be the same length. And then you'll want that coil to be even inside the placement box too. And our zipper is a little bit long, so we can just trim it even with the edge.
Here's some scissors.
Okay.
All right. There we go.
Looks good. And what's nice about the tape is you can always just lift it up and reposition.
And readjust, yeah. I haven't really used that in many projects, but it's great for this.
Yes, it is a must-have for bag making.
Awesome.
So then we're going to top stitch an 1/8 inch from each side of the box. And that'll hold the zipper in place.
Beautiful.
So I'm just going to slide this zipper pull out of the way.
No trouble going over that zipper and the cork at all. It just went right through it.
Okay.
Right, that looks so nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
And then we can trim this little thread tail here.
Yeah. Okay.
So on the back side, we'll want to add on some double-sided basting tape to this lower edge.
Okay.
So it can just be right along that top stitching is fine.
Okay, the full length?
Yes.
Okay. There we go. Just like so.
Perfect. We'll probably need to score it
Okay.
again.
Yep. Did I get it? I think so. There we go.
All right, so then we're going to take one piece of our mesh, and we can actually have the zipper still wrong side up, and the mesh will overlap that lower edge by about 1/2 inch.
Okay.
Just stick it down. So it's a little bit easier to align it on the wrong side, and it can be right along that stitch line from before as a guide. So then we're going to top stitch an 1/8 inch and 1/4 inch from this bottom raw edge of the zipper accent, and that'll secure the mesh in place.
Awesome.
Okay, so then next we're going to add these side accents. So we'll want to add some more basting tape
Okay.
to the center of those. So then we're going to take one of the accent pieces and overlap it on each end
Okay.
along and just align those raw edges. And it will be a little bit longer.
Okay, just like that?
Yep. And then we're going to top stitch an 1/8 inch from that inner raw edge on each side.
Okay.
And then I'll stitch the other side right away. the excess even with the bottom edge.
Okay.
Perfect. So then we can grab one of the lining panels.
Okay, got one here.
And then we're going to fold, you can fold that in half to find the bottom center, and I'll find the bottom center of the pocket.
Just like that?
Yep.
Okay.
And then we'll line those up. And we can use some clips along the bottom. And you certainly could add some more basting tape down the center again.
If you wanted to.
Yeah. I'll just hold it in place.
Okay.
Just to save on some tape.
Perfect. There we go.
And then you just stitch an 1/8 inch from all 4 sides.
Cool.
So hopefully this is an easy method to make a mesh zipper pocket.
Yeah, it's so great that you'll be able to see what you've got stored in there.
And I love how you can leave cork fabric raw edge. So
Oh, I know. I was just thinking that it's so nice that you don't have to worry about turning it, and it just looks beautiful and finished.
yes. And it makes installing the zipper super quick and easy.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish every zipper were that simple. Can I
Yes.
take those?
Thank you.
You bet.
This lining fabric is super cute
I
too.
know, with the little boats.
It's fun to have a print on the inside.
I know. That's one of the things I love about making your own bags is you can put this beautiful print inside, whereas when you're at the store, they don't usually take the time to do that. When they could, it would be just as easy to put something pretty inside.
Yes.
But we can solve that problem.
All right, so then you'll repeat the same process with the remaining mesh pieces and contrast pieces to attach it to the other side of the lining, and now we're ready to assemble the bag.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so now that all of our pieces are prepped, we're ready to assemble this duffel bag. So let's go ahead and cut these corners out. We already went and marked a square in each corner.
Okay.
So then all we have to do is cut along the marked lines. And this will be on each of the top corners of the lining and the top corners of the main fabric, front and back.
All right. Okay.
Okay, so I'm just going to grab one piece of the exterior and one lining.
Okay.
We're going to place the exterior right side up and fold the handle down out of the way. And then here we have our 27-inch double slide zipper.
Okay.
We're going to place it right sides together along that top edge and clip in place.
Okay.
And if you'd like, similar to before, you can sew with a 1/4 inch seam allowance first and then layer on the lining.
Okay.
Otherwise, we can just layer all 3 together and align them.
Perfect. Okay, so then let's do that. Just lining up those boxed corners
Yep.
and the edge of the zipper. Where the zipper pulls are kind of wants to dip down. Gotta make it behave, huh?
Yes.
All right, I think we're good. I hope we're good.
Perfect. Okay, then we'll sew along that top edge with a 1/4 inch seam allowance.
Okay. This is getting so exciting.
It is. as you sew along, just make sure everything stays aligned and keep those zipper pulls in mind. So I'm going to put the presser foot up and then just slide the zipper pulls out of the way. Oops. Okay, so then you're going to fold away the lining fabric and place it wrong sides together with the main fabric.
Okay.
And then you certainly can give this a good press and then top stitch an 1/8 inch from that seam.
Okay, great.
So next we're going to grab one of those accent pieces for along the zipper
Okay.
from our contrast fabric.
Okay. All right, there's that.
Okay. So then you can certainly add some basting tape along the entire length of the accent piece to help hold it in place. But you'll just want to position it over the seam, and so that way there's about an 1/8 inch of the zipper tape showing.
Okay.
And then top stitch an 1/8 inch from each side of the accent.
Okay, great.
Okay. And if your piece is a little bit longer like mine, that's okay. We can just trim that later on. Okay. So I'm going to stitch the other side. Okay, so then we'll repeat the exact same process to attach the other 2 pieces to the other raw edge of the zipper.
Perfect.
All right, so that was it for that style of zipper.
Okay.
And now we're going to place the main fabrics right sides together.
Okay.
And the same with the lining fabrics. And then we'll want to clip the side edges together on each side of the main fabric.
Perfect. Here, let me pass these so we can both reach if you
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, and you don't have to worry about the bottom.
Okay, perfect.
Yep. Can leave that. So after it's all clipped, we're going to sew the side edges of the main fabric with 3/8 inch seam.
Okay.
And then for the lining, we're going to do it a little bit different. We're going to start with 3/8 inch and then increase to 5/8 inch, and sew with 5/8 inch seam. So then it's a little bit smaller and it'll fit neatly inside.
Beautiful.
So while I'm on this side, I'm just gonna sew the lining right away.
Perfect.
So I've got it lined up with 3/8 inch and about a 1/2 inch or 1 inch down, you can start increasing your seam allowance up to 5/8.
And you just kind of ease into that different width?
Yep,
Okay.
exactly. And this is a great method too that you can use on other bag patterns.
Yeah. To make the lining lay nicely. That's a great tip.
Okay, so now we'll want to trim the lining seam allowance to a 1/4 inch wide,
Okay.
just to reduce some of the bulk.
All right. A little wide there. There we go.
Great, so now it's time to add on the base.
Okay.
And before we move any further, I just want to reach in and then unzip the zipper for
Okay.
turning later on. So that's very, very important.
Yes. Grab our pieces over here.
So next we're going to attach the base of the bag.
Okay.
So we're going to match up the contrast base with the centers of the exterior.
Okay,
So-
so that's this one. All right.
And we already went ahead and folded each of the panels in half and found the centers. So first let's line up the center points
Okay.
and add a clip.
You betcha. Right there. Okay.
All right. And then the same for the other side, and the seam allowance, or the side seams on the exterior are the center, so that can be lined up with the center of the base.
Okay. You need a clip?
Sure, thanks.
You bet. And then this one. Oh my goodness, this is really starting to take shape. It's so exciting. Okay.
All right, so then we'll just line up the straight edges next,
Okay.
and don't worry about the corners yet.
Okay. Magical. Okay.
All right, and then the same on the side edges.
There's one for you.
Thanks.
All
All
right.
right, then lastly we'll ease in the corners.
There we go.
Thanks.
You bet. Okay.
I just need a couple more.
Couple more?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so here we go.
All right.
So we're gonna sew around the entire base with 3/8 inch seam allowance, and you can just flatten the bag as you sew, and
Okay.
I think it's easiest to sew with the base against the bed of the sewing machine for this step.
I'm I'm glad to hear you say that because I think I probably would have done it a different way and it would have been more difficult. So,
Well, whatever works for you.
yeah.
So just keep adjusting as you go around the corners and just make sure the edges stay even. And then I just finger press the seam as I get to the side. So just finger press it open. And my clips came off, so I'm just going to cut the thread and
Fix that
fix
again.
it. Yeah.
This is one of those steps where you really want to take your time and just make it easier on yourself by using those clips.
And sometimes making a bigger bag is actually easier than a smaller bag, even though there's a lot of fabric here, but the pieces are bigger, so.
I can imagine when you're trying to turn those corners on a smaller bag, that would be tricky. Yeah. This way you've got a little bit more to work with. Help you?
Yeah, thanks.
You bet. That last corner.
Okay, so then you can just double check that you caught all the layers,
That looks great.
and then we'll repeat to attach the base of the lining.
Okay.
Okay, so then this will be sewn with 3/8 inch seam allowance as well, but this time we'll want to leave a turning opening, so probably about 8 inches or so.
Okay.
And that'll be big enough to turn the base through.
Perfect.
All right, so then you can push out the corners and smooth the lining down inside the bag. You can either hand sew or top stitch the opening in the lining closed.
Okay.
So moving to the next step, we're going to attach the top connectors. So
Okay.
our cork fabric pieces.
They look like this. right?
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
Perfect.
So we have 2 of those, and then we need 2 swivel hooks.
Okay. Right here. Okay.
So for each connector, you'll want to thread the wide end through a swivel hook. And you'll want the flat side of the hardware against the wrong side. Perfect.
Okay.
And on the wrong side, we'll want to add some double-sided basting tape to the outer edges.
Okay.
Great. So now we're ready to attach them to the top corners of the bag. So this will seal up that opening and finish off the raw edge. So we'll want to flatten the bag so that the zipper is in line with the side seam. So just make sure that that angle is even on both sides, and we'll want to have the lining flat on the inside as well, so we can unzip the top
okay.
a little bit.
So we can see in there.
Perfect.
Okay. Like so.
And then we can take one of the connectors, and we'll want the connector to overlap the fabric by about 2 1/4 inches.
Okay.
So the edges of the connector should be even with the folds. And we can clip it in
Let
place.
you do it to make sure you've got it exactly how you want it.
Okay. So I'm just going to really flatten this
Okay.
here. And so the edges of the contrast fabric should line up with those folded edges.
Okay.
And that double-sided basting tape will hold the layers in place. And then we can add more clips.
Okay. Like
Perfect.
so. Okay.
Okay, so you can either start along the hardware or along the zipper, whichever you're comfortable with, and then sew the rest of the edges with the 1/8 inch seam allowance.
Okay.
So again, you can just flatten the bag, so that way you have access to the presser foot. Give it a hug.
Yeah. Squeeze it tight.
So I'm going to backstitch and cut the threads to sew this other straight edge. It'll be a little bit easier to access this way.
I'll hold that back.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, and then we can sew the last remaining side. All right, so we can trim up our threads.
Yep. There we go. That looks great.
Okay, then we'll repeat to attach the other connector.
Okay.
Okay, so then the bag itself is complete. Then you can attach the swivel hooks to the D-rings.
Cute.
And you can fill it up.
Be ready for your next adventure. So great, Jess. I love it.
So I think this is so beautiful. I'm so excited. There's one last step, and that is to make the crossbody strap.
All right, perfect. Well, let me set this over here so that we can finish up that last bit.
Okay, so here we have our webbing, so this won't take long at all. So first of all, we want to finish off those raw ends. So all you have to do is you can either take a lighter to it and just, if you're comfortable with that, and melt the ends. So just lightly touch the flame to the ends of the webbing, and I've already gone ahead and done that.
Okay.
Otherwise, you can take a zigzag stitch and just zigzag with a narrow stitch length, and then that will conceal and cover up those raw edges to keep it from unraveling.
Perfect.
So I'm going to open up our hardware. And we can set the D-rings aside.
Okay.
So first we're going to attach the slider buckle. So the right side of the hardware is nice and smooth, so you want that face up. And you're going to take one end of the strap and fold it from underneath over the center bar and back down. And then you'll fold the strap back onto itself. So that way, from the end of the strap to the fold is about 1.5 inches.
Okay.
And you can just sew a box with an X in the middle if you'd like for reinforcement. So I'm going to go ahead and just stitch that.
Okay, great.
Sorry.
You're all right. Want me to trim those threads?
Sure. Thank you.
You betcha. There we go.
Okay, so you're going to have the wrong side of the strap face up, so with that raw end there, and just take your thumb and guide it all the way to the end, so that way you know the underside is face up. And then take a swivel hook, and you'll want the flat side against the underside, and slide it so it's closer to the swivel hook. So just make sure that it looks like this. And then make sure the strap isn't twisted. And then you can thread it back through the buckle so the undersides are facing each other.
Beautiful.
And then at the opposite end, you'll take the remaining swivel hook and thread it through so that flat side is against the underside again. And then fold it back onto itself and top stitch.
Perfect. All right, so it has been so fun to make this Hamilton duffel. Jess, thank you so much for coming and sharing this with all of us. Tell everybody where they can find you online if they want to learn more from you.
Yes, for inspiration and other tips, follow at Sallie Tomato Patterns.
Awesome, and thank you so much, and be sure to tune in for more great patterns from us here at Missouri Star. Hey everyone, it's Misty. Thanks for watching at home. If you aren't already a part of our Missouri Star family, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell if you want a notification every time we release a new video. I'll see you next Monday on the newest episode of At Home.